Donald Trump's Iran policy in 2025 can be characterized as a high-wire act, a balancing act of seemingly contradictory approaches. On one hand, his administration continues to exert maximum pressure on the Islamic Republic, imposing crippling economic sanctions in an attempt to bring the nation to its knees. On the other hand, Trump extends an olive branch, offering negotiations and the possibility of dialogue. This two-pronged strategy, while seemingly paradoxical, reflects the complex reality of U.S.-Iran relations and the Trump administration's own internal divisions. The offer of negotiations, while presented as a genuine attempt at diplomacy, has been met with deep skepticism from Tehran. The timing of the offer, coupled with the simultaneous tightening of sanctions, raises questions about the sincerity of Trump's intentions. Is it a genuine attempt at dialogue, or a strategic maneuver to further isolate Iran and deflect international criticism? The Iranian leadership, wary of Trump's unpredictability and past actions, views the offer as a ploy, a means to extract concessions without offering anything substantial in return. The Trump administration's withdrawal from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, commonly known as the Iran nuclear deal, in 2018, cast a long shadow over any future negotiations. The unilateral withdrawal, widely seen as a betrayal by Tehran, shattered any remaining trust in American promises. The Iranian people, caught in the crossfire of this diplomatic tug-of-war, bear the brunt of the economic hardship inflicted by sanctions. Their plight, while often overlooked in the grand geopolitical calculations, is a stark reminder of the human cost of this protracted standoff. The reimposition and escalation of U.S. sanctions have had a devastating impact on Iran's economy. Once a thriving oil exporter, Iran's oil sales have plummeted to near zero, depriving the country of its main source of revenue. The sanctions, designed to cripple Iran's economy and force its leaders to the negotiating table, have instead exacerbated existing economic woes and inflicted widespread hardship on ordinary Iranians. Inflation has skyrocketed, with estimates ranging from 40 to 50%, eroding the purchasing power of ordinary citizens. The Iranian rial has plummeted in value, making imports prohibitively expensive. Essential commodities such as rice have seen their prices surge by as much as 200%, pushing basic necessities out of reach for many struggling families. The economic pain inflicted by sanctions has fueled widespread discontent and anger among the Iranian population. Protests, once sporadic and localized, have become more frequent and widespread, a testament to the growing frustration with the government's inability to alleviate the economic suffering. The sanctions intended to weaken the Iranian regime have inadvertently provided ammunition to its critics, both within and outside the government. The Trump administration argues that the sanctions are necessary to curb Iran's malign activities in the region, including its support for proxy militias and its ballistic missile program. However, critics argue that the sanctions have done little to alter Iran's behavior, instead pushing the country closer to the brink and risking further escalation. Despite the mounting economic pressure, Iran has steadfastly refused to engage in negotiations with the United States under duress. The Iranian leadership, particularly Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, views the offer of talks as a sign of weakness, an attempt to exploit Iran's vulnerability. They argue that negotiating under the threat of sanctions would be tantamount to surrender, a betrayal of the Iranian people's resilience and sacrifice. While some officials within the Iranian government acknowledge the need for dialogue to alleviate the economic hardship, they remain adamant that Iran's core interests, including its nuclear and missile programs, are not up for negotiation. They view these programs as essential deterrents against external threats, particularly from regional rivals such as Saudi Arabia and Israel. The Iranian leadership's reluctance to negotiate stems from a deep mistrust of the United States, rooted in decades of animosity and perceived betrayal. The 1953 CIA-orchestrated coup that overthrew Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, the U.S. support for Saddam Hussein during the Iran-Iraq War, and the unilateral withdrawal from the JCPOA have solidified this sense of grievance and suspicion. Iran's refusal to negotiate under pressure is also driven by domestic political considerations. The Iranian government, already facing growing public discontent over the economy, cannot afford to be seen as capitulating to U.S. demands. Such a move would be seized upon by hardline factions within the government who have long opposed any rapprochement with the West. The economic hardship inflicted by sanctions has ignited simmering tensions within Iranian society, exposing a deep well of frustration and anger directed at both the United States and the Iranian government. While the Iranian people have shown remarkable resilience in the face of adversity, the relentless pressure of sanctions has taken its toll, fueling a sense of despair and disillusionment. Public protests, once rare and quickly suppressed, have become more frequent and widespread, a testament to the growing boldness of the Iranian people in demanding accountability from their leaders. The protests, often triggered by economic grievances such as rising prices and unemployment, quickly morph into broader expressions of discontent with government corruption, mismanagement, and the lack of political freedoms. The Iranian government, caught between a rock and a hard place, faces the daunting task of managing these internal pressures while navigating the treacherous waters of US-Iran relations. The leadership is divided between pragmatists who favor engaging in dialogue with the United States to alleviate the economic pressure and hardliners who view any concessions as a sign of weakness. The outcome of this internal power struggle will have profound implications for the future of Iran. A victory for the pragmatists could pave the way for a gradual rapprochement with the West, offering a glimmer of hope for a brighter economic future. However, a triumph for the hardliners would likely lead to further isolation, entrenchment, and a deepening of the economic crisis.